Hey, what's going on, guys? Mike again for my third video, and this video is going to be exclusively about negotiations. When I first started to do eBay, like seriously, I started off with actually about $2,000, and I saved that from the job that I previously had, which was substitute teaching. So I saved that money, and I used that money to buy and sell stuff off Craigslist, and that's how I got started, was just purchasing stuff off Craigslist. So there's a kind of certain techniques that I use in order to get a good deal, and you got to realize, start off with these tips in order to kind of knock the price down. First thing that I want you to be aware about is that there are some people on Craigslist that put they put the price down and say they're selling an iPhone. And they say, well, I want $400 firm, And of course, if you've been in Craigslist and you've bought stuff before online, you know that the word firm means that they're not going to budge out of their, price, And that's not really true, because, it's only up to them in order for them to lower it or not. It's not like, it's just their decision to. So if you can change their decision to, then of course it's not going to be firm. They just put that in order to, go out with all of this negotiations, and they don't like to deal with that. So don't pay attention to those, those things that say firm. So whenever I look for a deal on Craigslist, before I even call them or contact them, I actually look at the listing. So I could tell by reading the listing, the grammar, etc., if the person is old or young. Okay, usually if they're younger, there's going to be misspellings. They're going to talk in slang. You're going to put yo, and they're going to put instead of writing the word before, they put the letter B and then for. I could tell that's how they're going to be young. So I intentionally look for younger kids. I look for people who don't have experience with negotiations. Okay, so I kind of because usually they're not good at managing their money, and they'll take my offer basically. So they don't know how it's done. So I look for people who are young and people who need money, because people who need money usually will drop the price. So next thing is that usually they're gonna put some of them who put a listing, they get a little smart, and they say, hey, I'm gonna need $400 firm, and they're gonna put, I don't really need the money, okay? And they put that little saying under there, well, I don't need the money, so blah blah blah. That's a lie. Okay, it's a complete lie. Because the reason why they're selling their item is because they need money. Okay, if you don't need money, you're not going to go and take the time to sell something on Craigslist. Okay, unless you're moving, etc., etc. Unless when you're moving, you're in a panic to get rid of the stuff, so you're going to sell it for cheap anyway. So don't listen to this concept, this idea that they don't need money. Of course they need money. They wouldn't be selling their stuff if they didn't need money. So take that into consideration. Every price, everything can be negotiated. You just got to be good at negotiations. Okay, so what I do is I look for somebody that's youthful, they have grammar, misspellings, etc., etc. Okay, number two, I look for pictures. Okay, I usually never ever look for I look at an item or go and purchase an item that doesn't have a picture. Okay, if the person says, hey, text me if for pictures, I usually do. Okay, but let me explain something to you guys. The reason why, okay, they don't put a picture is that usually the item might be stolen. Okay, now let me explain to you why would they do that. Okay, everybody has a smartphone, and almost every phone has a camera. Okay, it's really easy to upload the pictures onto your computer. Why on earth wouldn't they put a picture on their item that they're trying to sell. That's kind of stupid marketing, okay? But the reason being is that if they put a picture of the item, okay, and it's stolen, then somebody can identify it and then say, hey, that's mine. See, there's a marking. I can identify my item. This item is stolen. So what these people do is that they don't put a picture. So I rarely ever deal with listings that don't have a picture. Okay, so how do I negotiate? Next step is how do I negotiate? Okay, so usually people don't like to talk on the phone. They would rather you text, okay? So a little trick that I do is that I have a Google Voice number, okay? For those of you that are not familiar with Google Voice, you know, you can get it for free, one per email, and you have the capability to text. So I downloaded it on my iPhone, and I could basically text them through my Google Voice number, okay? So what I do is that I push the limit to see how much I can drop the price, okay? Because you don't want to, you know, drop it too low that it's insulting and they don't want to talk to you, or they get angry or they get upset. You kind of have to have a balance, okay? So you're going to talk to them, you're going to text them, kind of get to know, hey, you know, how's the item, blah, 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 say you're interested. So, you know, you're going to try to drop it as low as you can. So you're like, hey, how much can you give it to me? Hey, can you give it to me for 300? What about this much? Blah, blah, blah. So see how much that you can push the envelope, okay? So I text them with my Google Voice number, and then I cut off communications, like, okay, well, that's not blah, 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 that's not what I'm looking for, or that's too high. And then I go to my regular number, and I text them through that, saying, well, I know exactly how much that they might sell it for. They said that they would probably go for maybe $250, okay? So I try to stretch the limit, you know. I totally cut off communications with my old number, my Google Voice number, and I go, hey, what about 240? You think give me 240? What about that, okay? So what you do is you agree upon a price, and then it's the concept of actually going towards them, going to them and picking up the item, okay? So in your mind, you have this concept and idea, like this is what I'm going to buy. So you're going to go meet them up, always meet them up at a secure location, public, Starbucks, no dark alleys, no, you know, in the middle of the night. If it's a high-priced item, if it's over $500, I usually meet them at a bank. So I do the transaction inside the bank. So it's just more secure that way. So after I go there, now I will examine the item. I'm going to examine the item to make sure that it's what they say the condition was, okay? So if they say this was the condition, there's no problems, and blah, 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 you can knock it down even further if you criticize the item, okay? So say, for example, you saw this iPhone and blah, 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 and you said, okay, well, you negotiated it and you set this price down, but then he didn't mention that it had a little crack or it had a little scratch here and the pictures didn't show this, blah, 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 blah. And you go and you said, hey, man, you know, you told me, I have it here on text, that you said it was fine, that it was perfect, that it didn't have any scratches, but I come here and I see that there's scratches on this, man. And you said, hey, bro, I can't pay the amount we agreed on, okay? Because what I thought in my mind was, I thought I was going to get a perfect condition item, and we agreed on this price, okay? But now that I come here, it's not that way. So, you know, I still want the item. You know, it's not the condition I want it, but I'll give you this much for it. And you knock it down even more, okay? Now, it's very important when you do that, that you have money already there, okay? Don't wait, don't have it at the bank, don't say, hey, I gotta run to the bank and go get it, because they might change their mind, okay? They might say, well, no, I don't wanna take that deal anymore. So what you're gonna do is that you're always gonna have cash on hand, okay? And when you have cash on hand, it's a totally different story. You might be like, wow, I don't even think I could get a deal. Like, how can I get this deal this cheap? Because psychologically, when you show them the money, it does something to them, okay? Like, it's real. Like, I could do this deal right now. It's here. The cash is here. I don't have to wait. So when you make an offer, Don't make it with just words, but actually have something to show them. So say, hey, I give you $200 for this. Show them $200 for it, okay? Because when you show them the money, something just changes off. Something just clicks onto their head. Wow, I can have $200, okay? So make sure you have the money physically there. And if they don't like your deal, you know, physically taking the money away, removing the money from the scenario, does something physically to them as well. So, you know, those are just a couple of tips that I have. You know, and you know, there's more, but I think these are simple tips in order for you to kind of strike a good deal, you know, through Craigslist. So look forward to my other videos, and hopefully they'll help you make some more money on eBay. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.